What's going on, y'all? Welcome into Lakers Nation. My name is Daniel, and let's just get right into it. So, I want to first discuss Cameron Carr, and the one thing I want to say is the Lakers really did their research when selecting Cameron Carr. If we look here, which got some of his highlights from Friday's summer league game against the Thunder. So let's play this, and as this is playing, we can see some of the shot creativity that Cam Carr has coming off the screen, pulling up for a three. Again, he scored 18 points on Friday night's game. He wasn't able to play last night due to a thumb contusion. Here he comes over with the block as a second defender. Here navigating across the screens, getting to his shot, pulling up. Here coming off the dribble and scoring in a layup. One of the things I do realize though in plays like this is that he kind of leans a lot with his upper body. Can be scary if he kind of gets clipped on the legs. See here again. There he does it again. So he can control his body a bit more when he's going in. I think he's trying to do that, expecting contact. Here again, coming off a screen, another pull-up jumper, kind of faded away on that free throw line, and then cuts to the basket. Fake alley hoop to Adou, but got himself his own 2 points. So that was it. But few a few pros I have based not only on that game against the Thunder in Las Vegas, but um, even if we go here, that's right here. I like what I'm using right now is Real GM site. They have an updated, stats summary of the summer league games and California Classic from the weekend prior. But in 4 games, Cam Carr has averaged 17 points across those 4 games, shooting 37% from 3-point line. And then, you know, one of the things I did realize is his assist category is very low. He's not really handling the ball. That's probably one thing I do want to see a little bit more of is Cam Carr initiating some offense. But again, maybe that's just not going to be his role on the Lakers, and so maybe that's why they're kind of just trying to showcase his shooting ability and navigating off screens and um, focus the rest of his energy on the defensive end as well. So another thing I want to see though is his free throw percentage come up 70% across 4 games as a shooter. Want to see that closer to 80 to 90%. Um, but again, maybe the free throw rules, how they changed it, um, outside of the last 2 minutes, maybe that has some impact on that. A few pros over those first 4 games um, is number one, obviously the athletic ability jumps off the screen. Number two, the shot creation is eye opening, where a young player like that, especially playing against a lot of players around his age or players trying to make it into the league, he looks like a lottery pick in my eyes, along with the Acus, the DeBonsas, um, the Petersons, obviously not at their level. That's why they went higher in the top 10. But, he, what I'm saying, the similarity is they look like they all belong, like they deserve to be in the NBA. If not a starter, a really good bench piece to start off their rookie year. And so for Cam Carr, I can already see him instantaneously um, creating an impact off the Lakers bench, whether it's to come in and shoot what we always wanted Dalton Connect to be, or just be a defensive pest that the Lakers definitely lack right now. And then lastly, I do want to credit Cam Carr, a pro that stands out to me. I'm more defensive minded, so any defensive instincts really stands out to me. And Cam Carr, he has really good defensive instincts in the sense of contesting with his long wingspan. Um, and coming over, being a weak side helper, and then as you saw in that highlight, getting that block off the board. However, one of the only cons I have about his game is he's just very too light in the back pocket. So I think they listed him around 188. um don't quote me on that, but at draft night, yeah, I do want to see him gain an extra 15 to 20 pounds over the next couple years just to build out his frame. Because you do see when a player is trying to drive, they'll get their shoulder into him and he kind of gets knocked back a couple feet. And so being able to build that muscle on top of his frame will allow him to be better in withstanding those, those bumps and be able to stay in front because as a defender, you always want to stay in front as best as you can to have the leverage over contesting the shot. Moving on, let's go to Adou. You know, I believe not only myself, but a lot of Lakers fans were very excited to see Adou just because we missed a lot of him last year. He wasn't able to play in the summer league or have a training camp or preseason because he was recovering from a knee injury. 4 games out of the 5 the Lakers have played so far, averaging 14 points. Obviously, the Vegas Summer League, that's where all the eyes are. He has he's averaged 17 and a half points across 2 games, 2 steals. I love seeing that. That means he's uh very active on the defensive end, looking to, you know, whether it's jump a pass, he's there. The 3-point shot isn't falling. He hasn't hit a 3-point shot yet. That's one thing that the Lakers are definitely gonna be looking for. We definitely need wings who can not only defend but shoot. So if we look at some of Adou's highlights from Friday's game as well, this was probably his best game that he's had in the 5 so far. Here he comes off this back pick back shooter, finishes the alley oop by getting great position. Manon does a great job being patient. The dude just cuts right down the lane, finishes with authority. Here he taps it from behind, and then here comes a windmill. And you can just see with all these dunks how powerful they are. I think that's what's most exciting about him. Finishes an alley oop right here. And then this is his best defensive play. Blocks it from behind. And the best part about that play is that he blocked it and it touched, you know, the Thunder player last. So it was Lakers ball. Finishes in the lane right there. One thing too, if you didn't notice, he's not the strongest driving to the lane. That's just a ball handling thing. Finishes the shot right there at the end of the third. And then nice little lay right there, getting past the defender, smaller defender. On Friday night, the dude had 20 points, 8 of 14 to shooting. Right, a lot of those were around the bucket, whether it's a dunk or a layup, as you saw in those highlights. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I like the 5 stocks. That will get it done at the next level. I'm not saying he will produce the same numbers at the next level, but it's really exciting to see that he's um, doing that against competition at his level in terms of age. So some of the pros I have of Adu is obviously his athleticism. He plays with a lot of physicality, and his highlight dunks, those are just a cherry on top. Some of the cons I do have are his handles and his shot needs to get better. Right, he doesn't want to resort if he doesn't work on that shot. He doesn't want to resort to being what we see as Vando now, right? Can give you something defensively, but offensively, it's kind of just out there and people sag off of him. So he hasn't hit a 3 yet. I would give him credit. He had 2 threes in that game specifically that rimmed in and out. Unfortunately, I think Cam Carr right now has the edge. He's just a little bit more versatile. Cam Carr is, and Adu is kind of, still filling out, working out his game. Whereas Cam Carr, his game is already established, and you know what you're gonna get. And Arthur Kaluma, I will vouch for him. I'm gonna put my vote in there. Arthur Kaluma at least needs to be a 2-way contract player. I know the Lakers have Manyon, Suter, and Okereke, but Suter and Okereke haven't shown me much anything at all, where they deserve that spot over Kaluma. In 4 games, 2 games at the California Classic, 2 games in the Las Vegas Summer League, 14 points per game, 26, average of 20 points a game, shooting 38% from the three. These 2 games, the California Classic, he was 1 for 10. These 2 games, he's 7 for 11, right? So the one thing that pops out to me is that shooter shoot. And Kaluma's a shooter. A player he reminds me of is Nas Reed esque. Just does the little things that is exciting, offensively, spacing the floor, shoots well, 87% from the free throw line, 38%, averaging 20 points amongst these guys. One of the things I would have wanted to see is the rebounds being a little higher. Seems that he's defending a lot of players on the perimeter, which, in turn doesn't allow you to be around the rim to collect rebounds. But another thing I did notice is, high turnovers. Uh, I see his instinct where the idea is a great idea. To, um, he's trying to make the right play, driving to the lane and then kicking it out. However, when he's doing that, he's leaning too much into a lot of these defenders and being off balance when throwing the ball. So that's what I'm seeing is causing a lot of his turnovers. However, the instinct is there. It's a great idea. You just need to clean it up a little bit, and that it just takes coaching and again, just being able to be able to be on balance compared to off balance. And I think as long as he cleans up those turnovers, he'll be fine. But Arthur Kaluma, he's probably the highlight, the standout that nobody saw coming, and that's the one thing I do enjoy about summer league. Like so many players trying to make it to the NBA, but you really see, and it's very identifiable how who's been putting the work in the gym. With this new ownership, I believe that they, will see the positives that Arthur Kaluma can bring and something that you don't want to let go. He has very high potential that he's showcasing here in these 4 games that he's played. And so the Lakers can't let him go. Whether it's Suter, whether it's okay, you take your chances with Kaluma. I think with Okereke, he probably fills out, the same role as a Kaluma would. So I can see Okereke, but if you believe that Okereke can, is very raw and can turn into something, then you let go of Suter, right? Suter, I've seen he struggles a lot with his ball handling. Even though he's a great shooter, but he struggles a lot with his ball handling and really can't initiate the offense. He kind of gets it stripped away um, quite often from the games I've seen. And lastly, I want to talk about Chris Magnon. You know, one of the things about Chris Magnon, number one, he's a great on ball defender. In 5 games, he's only scored about 12 points a game, shooting less than 30% from the 3 point line, a little turnover as well. Less about 2 turnovers a game, but 2 assists, 5 rebounds. Again, a pro is great on ball defender. And outside of being a great on-ball defender, when he gets to the rim, he's actually very efficient. So if you see him, driving to the lane, he can actually finish quite well. But that's the one thing about Chris Magnon that maybe he needs to develop into. He doesn't really seek his shot on the offensive end. He's more so, probably 90% mindset of I'm going to lock down my guy. Um, However, there becomes cons with that, right? So not really a great initiator of the offense. That's where you see kind of a same assist to turnover ratio. Definitely the 1.2 steals will get it done. So I definitely like seeing that. And then again, the 3 point shot, similar to Adou, you have to make threes in this league. And so as long as he can do that, uh, get his 3 point attempts up, maybe even be more comfortable in initiating an offense on top of his great on ball defensive instincts, you know, I believe then, he can be a consistent role player on the Lakers. But right now, I think being a two-way contract guy is definitely where he needs to be to continue to develop. So to summarize everything we just went over, I believe these 4 guys are the nucleus of the Lakers' young core to help the Lakers in areas of need while still allowing the veterans like the Luca, the ARs, even the now Kesslers, right? The established guys on the Lakers to compete in the Western Conference. These guys do have um, facets of their games that the Lakers are looking for in the free agent market or even in trade scenarios. However, they might actually have that on the team, but you can't wait a year, 2 years for these guys to develop. You need to continue to try to compete now while these guys are coming up. And the great thing about witnessing these guys being able to fulfill areas of needs for the Lakers is that here in the future, you know, the Lakers are gonna need to open up some cap space, and if you can play these guys on cheap contracts, that just gives more flexibility and optionality for the Lakers heading into the future in the next few years to continue to build out this team around Luca and AR to continue to try to compete for a championship. So let me know your thoughts on what you're seeing. If you agree with me or disagree with some of my thinking of what I'm witnessing here in the first 2 weeks of summer league basketball regarding these four guys. And do you think Arthur Kaluma should be uh, awarded a two-way contract at least from the Lakers? Till next time, laters.